evening, race fans, and welcome back to Sim Racing Academy. My name is Webbo, here to join you tonight for the penultimate round in our championship at Spa, of course, home of a great number of fabulous race series annual meets. And this is going to be no different here. Tonight we have finishing qualifying, Alex Rosetta back on top, as he is on the championship as well, so back onto pole position with 211 points in the championship with his teammate Loris Mediri, who has won in round 3 on 189. He also came second in round 2 as well. Nicola Soro, last week's feature race winner, starts in 4th position behind Mediri tonight, but he is 3rd in the championship on 185, with Matteo Ferri 4th in the championship, and he starts in 2nd today. Following through the rest of the group, we have Lataro, followed by Lenevsky, Verweyen, Danhausen, Mnuchin, joining us for the first time from Kilian Sauer. Next in 10th place, Mikhail and Dunfeld. Then we have Riesenhauer and Parks. In 15th place we have Christian Mediri, and then Jones, Perrett, Maas, Duncan Volker and Roygen in 20th, with Gomez, Rivera, Martinelli, Viljanen, Rossi and Chase at the bottom of the order for the start of the race. Anyway, 65-minute race, of course, following the 15-minute qualifying that we had off stream. Welcome to Michael Roygen, who is here to enjoy tonight. No prizes for guessing who you're cheering on tonight. I'm assuming it's for Tom Royen, but do let us know how you get along and whether you're enjoying the race tonight. If you are joining us and you haven't commented yet, do make sure you do, and I will do my best to give you a shout out and interact as much as possible. As long as you keep it clean and positive, then we will all enjoy it. I see Sami Viljanen is back with his old Turtles livery, down in 23rd position, and we'll be looking, I imagine, quite often at the Glitch Motorsport teams, the yellow and black liveries. Moritz Danhausen, the lead in the Eiffel series, the Eiffel team, with Peter Willem in 6th and Kilian Sauer in 7th in the championship, but I don't think Peter Willem is going to be with us here tonight after an early exit last week. Further back in the championship, as the drivers go through to start the Stavolo corner under warm-up conditions, we have Paul Burnett in 8th. He has 122 points from Nick Parks. Christian Mediri is actually 10th with a string of point finishes. Next, Thomas Verweyen in 11th and Niall Bullion in 12th. Then Ivan Martinelli, Mattia Lataro, Marvin Riesenhauer, Paul Tempera in 16th, Jose Carlos, Alessandro Corso, Stefano Rossi, Andre Zafiratos, who only made that one appearance last week in both the sprint and feature races, and then Lenevsky, Mikhail, Viljanen himself with Guaraglio, Punterieri and Gomez Rivera in 26th. But we do have a number of new drivers with us today, so we will have a 25 car field for you. So plenty of action guaranteed. We've been instructed by race control to have no heroics on lap 1, so we can try and get those drivers through. And just to remind you, we have live stewarding. So live stewarding will have instructions to the driver to slow down, and slow down they are doing right now, but just in preparation for the start. I believe they'll be starting after La Source and on the way towards Eau Rouge on the traditional GT starting grid. So we'll be underway for you very soon. We get the green light, and Alex Rosetta will lead us away with Ferry, Mediri and Soro. A nice secure place for the Glitch Motorsport on all top 4 positions, and approaching La Source they go for the first time. Lataro in the blue and yellow BMW, followed by Lenevsky in different teams. See if they can get up into the mix, and then you've got that black and white split livery of the Eiffel drivers as well to look out for, different manufacturers. But it's Porsche, Ferrari, the bulk of our field, and they'll get the green light very shortly, and we'll be underway for our 65-minute race. Alex Rosetta waiting for that instruction. and the rest of the field will, of course, take the hint and the cue to go as soon as he hits the accelerator. But it's all about just good positioning and getting yourself into a safe position, and away we go then for the start of our race. And it's the Glitch Motorsport team who initially get a good bite away and need to play it nice and safe going up through Eau Rouge and into Rayon for the first time. We've already got a little bit of three-wide action going on in a very dangerous corner, but they will continue, and it looks like Lautaro getting tucked up nicely there behind Nicola Soro, last week's winner, and going fully alongside, might even be alongside enough to have a go into Les Combes for the first time. And no, it looks like Soro is managing to stay ahead, and it's Lautaro in fact giving up the inside slightly to Lanevski, puts himself on the dirty side of the track slightly, and a contact, and Lanevski spearing off into the outside edge of Malmedy corner before they head down the hill towards Rivage. I think they're slowing. I think Lautaro might be slowing. I don't know if that's damage or sportsmanship, but we shall try and keep an eye. He's looking out for Lanevski's car, I think, in his mirrors, or he's driving somewhat wounded. Mandatory pit stops, but the pit stop window is by no means open for our drivers to get them home and safe with a single refuel. So down in the order they go, but it's up at the top of the order. It's still the Glitch Motorsport team of Alex Rosetta with, I'm assuming, Matteo Ferri, Soro and Lautaro behind him. And then down at the moment we're just watching with Peretz here in 17th position, on board with him, with Christian Madiri in front of him, and then Mas behind as we go through Le Fagnes and then into Stavelot now, getting down on the power as soon as possible, as comfortable, and as soon as the car is comfortable on the racetrack. Of course, a very, very long section of full throttle as they head through Blanchimont and down towards the bus stop for the first time. We have Donko Volker there in 20th position, right behind Rossi, and having a look down the inside perhaps, or defending to the middle at least. And there's a very wide moment here from Stefano Rossi, who definitely missed his braking zone, goes for a rejoin and manages to rejoin safely, and into the pits comes Lanevski after that initial incident. Can't quite see whether the other car, Lautaro, is doing the same. Now that's Lautaro, I think, losing out, is it, to the Gomez Rivera and Martinelli, but up into 13th then goes Mas, away up the hill. Again, we're going to have super close racing at this section of the track. There is Royan, car 22, just ahead of us. And again, then Royan chasing Gomez Rivera, but got Martinelli, who is looking down the inside into Les Combes. And a good racing room left by Royan on the outside. This is Kilian Sauer, who is off the track, where we see accidents frequently on the exit of Les Combes. But Viljonen in that 18th position, just looking up forward on the grid, and it's Nicola Soro, last week's winner, and the Glitch Motorsport team, whether that's the Alpha team or the Academy team, are very much still in charge of this race. They've been playing nicely so far this season and have been dominating overall, and of course in the standings, holding these top four in the race, holding the top four positions in the championship. I don't know who else can challenge them now that we have Peter Willem, who has not returned to us after the early exit of last week. He was the first race winner and came very close to the win as well, last week in the sprint. Lautaro in 6th place then, I think, is driving with a little damage here on the car, but he's got behind him Danhausen and now Minuchin, who has got in between them. Minuchin debuting with us today in the Porsche. And the long run towards the bus stop chicane. Lautaro defending to the inside and running wide. Can the Eiffel car get up the inside? That was an attempted cutback, but T-boned Lautaro, who was still turning. Lautaro with a second significant impact of the race so far, and down the order goes Lautaro now to 8th at least. I think there'll be more places than that to come, but a nice tight battle we've got here for 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, as Martinelli looks to the inside here of La Source. They are rubbing wheel arches, rubbing bodywork on the way out of La Source. They'll have to sort themselves out, will they, before they go through into the terrifying Eau Rouge corner. And yes, indeed, Royan had to yield there to Mars, but he's lost a lot of momentum as Jones from behind in the pink bonnet that we ride on board with can get a small tow from the back of Martinelli and bring himself alongside here. Very early braking from Royan there. He was quite happy to release Jones at this point and avoid further incident and accident, as he's seen several cars have issues already. So very, very tight battling going on down in the midfield at the moment. Looking for a very speculative move there. Killian Sauer, who's changed livery today for this race. He's lost the white livery, white half, but he's also changed the car that he's driving, I'm hearing, as well. So he has changed manufacturer and model as well as that livery for the Eiffel team. That is Sami Viljanen, who is racing and broadcasting on FinSim Racer at the moment as well. Just getting a little bit tied up with the battling going on in front of him, but keeping up with those in front. And Viljanen has moved forward significantly already. Oh, but I've just cursed him massively as he comes out of out of Le Fagna, unfortunately, and goes wide. So dropping back down to 20th position is Viljanen, with Duncan Boca just in front of him. We've got just scrolling up then through the order to check in on everybody. This is Mas, Callum, no, I can't read his first name. Teun Mas. Okay, we'll just call him Mas then, as he comes out of the bus stop, and he's managed to lead this long group. There's contact further back once again, and it does seem that the bus stop is causing a huge amount of issues already tonight. That is Royan, who has got someone watching him behind, as Shiba's here to support Mas, but Michael Royan will be disappointed to see that contact just in the background of where we were focusing at the moment. But Duncan Volker in 19th position with the German stripes across his all otherwise black livery. Possibly Belgian, so that would get me in a lot of trouble if I've misidentified someone's nationality. But Viljanen then in the green Old Turtle livery behind. He is chasing hard here and might actually be able to draw alongside. It is the Ferrari with the nose ahead as we head into the into Les Comps, and looks like Viljanen just biding his time now and trying to work out the best way forward as he goes through yet another lap. It's we've already had almost 9 minutes now of the race, and this is where the action is, of course, because the front runners of Glitch Motorsport are far and away in front of this race at this stage and managing the race pace. No problems at all. That's Mikhail in 20th position behind this battle of Duncan Volker and Viljanen. And Michael Royan is also cheering on Mas as well, Teun Mas there, so that's good to see. Not all of your hopes are pinned on one driver who had a bit of a bump there. This is Martinelli in the BMW, car number 98. Nice, fairly striking livery in the BM. And he's following behind Mas there, who's got that lead in 13th over a big group of drivers. Diri in a fairly typical position for him, just outside the top 10, as there's a move coming and there's a late braking, and let's try and avoid contact further, shall we? This is Perret who's trying the switchback, but with Lautaro managing to get out of the bus stop safely. He's got the inside line going into La Source. He'll be able to brake slightly later, and another switchback coming, this time from Danhausen, as they'll go side by side. And we've got the best seat in the house as we watch these two go side by side down the hill and towards the dip of Eau Rouge and up over Radion. Who's going to give first? Surely it's going to be Lautaro, but they both try and hang on. Lautaro gets the rear end sideways, as then Perret, forced off the track slightly, will bang wheels and bang wing mirrors. with Lautaro round the outside though, and on the grass comes, I think that was Gomez, that was actually Christian Mediri who's trying to get in the mix, and it turns out that actually Danhausen holds on. Christian Mediri stays in the 4th position in this train here in 11th, but a nail biter as they headed towards Les Combes there for that time, and it was very, very tricky to get through safely. That is another wide moment from Perret, looking for different angles on Lautaro, but he turns into the apex, just assuming, I guess, that Mediri wasn't going to stick the nose in. Through Jackie X they go, try and keep 2 wheels on the race surface if at all possible. There's not a lot of grip outside of that, and into the Pouhon corner. Again, Lautaro looking very brave on that inside curb through Pouhon. It's a curb to avoid, really, unless you're really planted in qualifying spec. It's the monster livery bonnet of Matteo Lautaro, chasing down Danhausen. Danhausen in 5th position in the championship at the moment, with a string of solid results so far. And then Matteo Lautaro in 14th in the championship. This is Mediri in front of us, riding on board with Ferry here. The Glitch Motorsport drivers just getting in each other's mirrors and trying to keep this one interesting. The Porsche's leading the Ferraris in Team Glitch, and Ferry in front of Soro, who was last week's winner. Looks like Paul Ricard was a outlier really for Nicola Soro, who clearly had the car very much underneath him and had a great run last week in the feature race. Alex Rosetta not so much, but back at the lead of the race he is today. This is Martinelli in the midst of the Mars, Sauer and Jones group. That's Tayon in Tayon at Mars in the lead of this one, in the same livery as Matteo Lautaro, in the blue and yellow, the monster bonnet, and Samuel Evilag says go to the lead. So well, the lead isn't changing, so we will obviously keep our eye on it, but the Glitch Motorsport team are obviously controlling the front. We'll keep checking in, don't worry, and if anything significant happens at the front, we will do our best to let you know. But it does look like, as usual, it's normal service at the front of the race, but we want to make sure that everybody who is here today is going to get their fair share of screen time as possible, as Mars goes defensive into Rivage, defending from Sauer, who is trying out the Mercedes here tonight. Good run through X for Kilian Sauer, and again another defensive shape from Mars. Kilian Sauer will get slightly overlapped and side by side through Pouhon. Surely he's going to have to lift more significantly, and yes he does, but he keeps the pressure on, and always looking to the outside, possibly selling the dummy as he stamps on the brakes super late, too late in fact, because he just couldn't keep the car on the circuit, and he could well end up losing another place here, this time to Martinelli. That is Gomez Rivera off the track, but back to the action. Duineveld at the tail of this one, with Jones in the pink and black liveried Bentley, just paying a watching brief over Sauer and Martinelli. So let's see, Martinelli now just ahead there of Sauer after Sauer's attempt on Mars didn't quite work out. Feel like Sauer's got the pace here, but he just hasn't got the consistency, or can't quite get the overtakes done smoothly. Again, car looking, the rear end of nearly all the cars here tonight looking very loose mid-corner in the bus stop, as the huge camber change through that corner takes effect and the car gets unbalanced. Martinelli defends down the inside into La Source, so Kilian Sauer will be looking for a really, really good smooth run and exit through here. Might try a bump draft. You don't really want to be alongside, you just want to be tucked up behind and time your stamp on the throttle to perfection on the way up the hill. Let's see if he can do that. There's the tiniest touch of brakes from Martinelli, and Kilian Sauer riding that curb a little bit too hard, possibly lost a little bit of a little bit of his momentum. Did he get a little push from behind there from Jones? I'm not sure. There's certainly an overspeed moment. No, it wasn't happening. Jones is being passed by Duneveld, and it looks like that is Martinelli successfully defending around the outside into Lake Com. Of course, the switch back to the left becomes the inside if you can hang on for dear life. Meanwhile, Teun Mas getting away from the group, and Donkovolka here in 16th. Is currently just able to stay ahead of Mikhail. We have Steen Donkovolka and now Callum Jones racing British driver in the British car here in the Bentley. Don't see many bright pink Bentleys, do you? But it's not a bad colour scheme by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that massive ugly grille at the front of the car. But just ahead of him, looks like Duneveld managed to get ahead, and Sauer, Martinelli line astern, and let's see if Sauer can find a better run through. This is our Dutch Teun Mas leading this group in 11th position. Points throughout the order out in our feature races here, so it's always worth finishing the race. And here is Duneveld then getting a sniff of a slipstream as they head into Blanchimont, but he does unsettle the car and he runs wide going through there, so he's waiting to see, I think, if Sauer is going to go for a speculative move again, possibly touch the back of Sauer's green liveried Mercedes that time. And it looks like Martinelli having a poor run out of the bus stop. I don't know if he was helped into that poor run or not, but Sauer getting up the inside, and that looks like Duneveld getting a little bit keen for a similar move on Martinelli behind, but Sauer back in front of Martinelli. Took him a whole lap more to get back there. And it's Rosetta from Madiri and Ferry and Sorrow, just as it was from the very start of the race. Verweyen showing very well there in 5th position, with Minyushin in 6th, debuting with us tonight in 6th position. Riesenhauer in 7th, Danhausen in 8th, then followed by Perret, Christian Madiri, Teun Mas, Martinelli, Sauer, Duneveld, with Jones at the tail, just as you can see on screen right now. Oh dear, that was very late from Martinelli once again, and showing his vulnerability on the brake perhaps. Behind Jones we have Donkovolka, Mikhail, Viljanen, Royen and Gomez Rivera, with Matteo Lautaro down in 21st position. Parks, Lanevski, Rossi, Chase, the 25 car field still with us. On board with Duneveld, who is once again trying to make a move now on Martinelli. Martinelli unfortunately going backwards. It looks like Sauer is getting a slight overlap on the car in front of Teun Mas. He likes to get very close going through Pouhon there. It's not quite enough. Again, Mas looking a little unstable on the brakes into Lefania. I think Kilian Sauer will be smelling blood in the water here. Again, he goes to the outside. Is this another dummy from Sauer? No, he's going to brake on the racing line. Force Mas to use the less grippy side of the track, and actually managed to outposition him here on the long run down towards the bus stop. This should be a good position for Kilian Sauer as long as he can avoid rear-ending Mas through Blanchimont. Could well be in a good place now as he tries to lean on the car, but unfortunately again the front end getting loose and a 180 spin. J-turn back. A backhand has overcompensated, spun back round to face the oncoming traffic. A frightening place for any driver, and Kilian Sauer looking for a safe place to rejoin the race. Gets out there and gets passed, unfortunately, by several cars. It looks like Stefano Rossi's off track as well in Lake Com, and he was down in 24th position anyway. We may have just lost a driver because it looks like we're down to 24 now. Unfortunately, we'll update you if that was a deliberate retirement. Looks like Rossi though isn't moving anywhere, so he might be about to retire as well. The fastest lap sits with Alex Rosetta. No, it was actually Rossi being incredibly sporting there and waiting his turn for a clear moment in the traffic, which is exactly what we want to see. But yes, Rosetta, Madiri, Ferry, Sorrow as they started the race at the front here. This is Mikhail following behind Donkovolka and drawing alongside beautifully down the Kemmel straight here, sufficiently ahead to crowd out the braking area get the tail ahead before turning into the corner. Straddles that curb quite dangerously, and that was a car out of position slightly there. This is Gomez Rivera off track as well, and a couple of cars have gone into the pits. Royan, Gomez Rivera and Sauer. I wonder if there was further contact there between those three, because unusual to see all three pit right now. It's slightly ahead of schedule here for the fueling window. And here is your race leader and pole sitter and championship leader, Alex Rosetta from Italy, as all of our glitch motorsport drivers are from Italy, and dominating the race so far. Has already passed here Lanevski in the green and purple, and Mediri and Ferry coming up to action that same lapping. So it's still Porsche versus Ferrari, and Porsche ahead of Ferrari in the battle for Team Glitch. This is Nicola Soro, who was the winner of the feature race last week with Verwayen, then somewhat further back from the Glitch group, but being best of the rest to the Glitch team would be no mean feat today. This is Alexander Minuchin driving with us, representing United States in 6th position, and then Riesenhauer, Marvin Riesenhauer, this is in 7th with Danhausen, Moritz Danhausen. We've got action here. That's Viljanen, is it? Sami Viljanen. I think that was a car just going very slowly around, possibly Martinelli, was it? Or was it Mikhail? I'm not sure exactly who it was at the bus stop who had spun. But this is back with Callum Jones then in 13th position now. Just trying to find a good line going through Radion. And because it's a blind entry, it's very, very difficult to make it work. So Deo Ferry, who is 3rd in the race, 4th in the championship, losing that 3rd place to Nicola Soro at the moment in the championship, who is just behind him, and they are struggling to put a lap here on this lap driver, because usually he is a lot further up the grid, so his pace would naturally be fairly strong. He may have changed tyres as well. Minimum pit stop window, pit stop stationary time here, 25 seconds plus 5 for a tyre change, which is optional. This is Mediri. Rosetta has the fastest lap at the moment, looking for a move around the outside of Lanevski, who finally pulls to the inside and allows the 2nd and 3rd place drivers to put the lap on him. Nicola Soro will be next, although he's dropped off the back slightly, Nicola, of the rest of his colleagues. Although I think he's still far enough ahead of Verwayen to not be worried too much about any challenge from outside of his own team. Is Verwayen heading down towards the source there. Then we go down to see the Viljanen and Mikhail battle here. Viljanen racing the Aston Martin, Mikhail in the Ferrari ahead. Just looking to see where he might have an advantage. Closes up under the brakes, of course. So just getting better apexes, Viljanen, certainly through the first part of the bus stop. Small gain perhaps that time. Gap now just 0.8 of a second between these two. It doesn't look like that much even. Viljanen, very classic and smooth racing style here. He's got the back end very much under control, and we'll see if he can navigate Eau Rouge and Radion without losing the front end, as we've seen already tonight. That is a move for position then. That is Theo Maas losing out to Doinvelt, who manages to get a good move there. Doinvelt in the McLaren, getting ahead and up to 11th position. That was a very smart move. This is Viljanen to the outside as they will go into Les Combes. Obviously managed to go through Eau Rouge and Radion safely, but then Viljanen uncharacteristically wide through the second part of Les Combes. and losing out time, just obviously a little bit of overspeed on the entry into the chicane. Good to hear from Ginot and Matea in the live chat as well. Again, if you want me to interact, Matea, I'm going to need English, because Italian is not one of the languages I speak, unfortunately. But Ginot is here cheering on Tom and Teun and Jord. I'm not sure who Jord is. Unfortunately, is that Donnerveld? One of the drivers with the letter J initial. Anyway, when we get there, I'll see if that's him. Sami Viljanen round the outside of Mikael there, and getting the move done, going through the corner very nicely, as we see on screen. Danhausen, Riesenhauer, and Danhausen just sneaking forward ahead of Riesenhauer. But yes, it was Viljanen who got the move done on Mikael further back as well, which has worked out for him. A lot of patient driving from Viljanen as Danhausen tries to put the gap now on to Riesenhauer. He had the only Lamborghini in the field with Danhausen, but he's quite used to that. Let's see about this, how under control the front end gets as he turns left. Riesenhauer, I think the count was sufficient, but he didn't lose that grip at the front end of the car. Riesenhauer trying to retaliate here, but it looked like Danhausen has got a good bit of top speed and control through all important build up to the Camel Straight. Further down, then you can see these are the positions reversed then from the last time we saw them. So Viljanen successfully up to 15th position, running high for him, I think, in the championship. Let's have a quick look then at Viljanen. He is currently 23rd in the championship, best result of 17th so far. So he is outperforming his season progress to this point. A bit softer into the brakes of Lake Com. That might be a little bit of tyre saving going on, or fuel saving potentially, but you can't afford to take it easy, because Mikael just managed to give him a little tap from the rear there into the second part of Lake Com that time. Alex Rosetta leads from Madiri, Ferry and Sorrow. The Glitch Motorsport stranglehold over this ERS season 12 continues. But we are watching plenty of entertaining battles throughout the field in this bumper field of 25 starters with us tonight. This is the battle over 16th position, 16th and 15th position ahead of Viljanen. A lot of pressure back on Viljanen now after following Mikael for several laps. Wayne and Minushin still 5th and 6th with Danhausen, Riesenhauer and Perret, with Christian Madiri in 10th. It's a good exit in the corner this time from Mikael, and he'll get a slipstream all the way down through Blanchimont to follow, and he's actually trying to get the inside line here through Blanchimont. Looks like Viljanen releasing the throttle slightly into Blanchimont to allow Mikael enough space at the apex. Pretty generous sporting behaviour there from Viljanen, and enjoying the battle, I'm sure, in the cockpit as he looks for, again, a good exit out of the bus stop. He's got a lot more grip on the inside, managed to go slow in and fast out of the corner, defending then on the way into La Source this time, as the positions reverse themselves once again. Unfortunately for them though, this is going to bring car 98 Martinelli into the mix behind them, who's actually decided to go into the pits now. Lautaro and Martinelli in the pits, as Viljanen tucked right up behind this Ferrari's rear wing on the way through the last over the hill of Radion, and has lost a little bit of the momentum. Milkflist says, come on, you're Binici, which is Dorneveld. Oh, Sami Viljanen, the rear end getting too lively on the way out of Lake Com, and problem before he hits Malmedy. That wall coming to him frighteningly quickly. The pit window is open, so he may elect to come in this time and pit and try to action any repairs, hit the barrier with a reasonable amount of force. Apologies, just a small glitch on our graphics for a moment. We'll be back with track action very shortly. Here we go, fantastic stuff, well rescued, and we've got Villian then with a problem, and Mikhail going up in the order. So Rosetta, Mediri, Ferry and Soren Rosetta, class of his own here, even among his glitch motorsport superstars who are out at the front of the field. That is Rosetta then. Still in first position with less than 35 minutes to go. These are putting a lap on Lautaro at the moment. Oh no, this is putting a lap on Parks. In fact, I'm confusing the cars. Lautaro in the same livery. So Ferry getting through as well. There are the blue flags for the overspeed. Thank you for the subscription, Gino. That's very kind of you. So Ferry in P3. Still holding on to hopes of a second place here, I think. Able to run with Loris Mediri in front of him. That will help his fuel economy. Through the Pouhon corner. You can see several attempts at steering into the corners. He's obviously not feeling super direct and comfortable on the way in. Sammy Villian has come into the pits. He's made it back round, and I think he's now going to try and see if there's any point in repairing the car this time. Zeta still with the fastest lap at the moment. This is now looking like it's approaching a bit of a battle here for second place. We've got pit stops on the go for Christian Mediri, Teon Mas, Sami Villian as I mentioned, and Lautaro down in 22nd. Or I think Lautaro may have stayed in the pits. I think he's been there for quite a long time. And Alex Rosetta then, Matteo Ferri into the pits then from P3. In fact, all three lead drivers have targeted this exact half distance, 32.54 on the clock. So they're making sure that they split the race very neatly. That is Vawayan and also Minuchin, who are approaching the pit lane now. Minuchin, will he go in? No, he's going to stay out and have a little blast in the lead of the race, I think. Sorry, Minuchin hasn't. Danhausen has stayed out, so Danhausen it will be who will overtake the leaders. I think they are still in the pits at this stage. He will pick up several places and enjoy a few moments. Yeah, they're just on the way into the second part of the pit lane, the GT pit lane. And through into the new leader of the race is Moritz Danhausen. So he's in 5th in the championship at the moment, running 7th tonight. That is his best result so far, a 3rd place in round 3. And then Teon Mas still down in 16th. So pit stops on the go right now. So it's a good opportunity to do something different to the majority of the field here. Stay out on track, get some clear air, try and release everything you have left in the car for a potential overcut, or help you out if you felt like you were going slower than the car in front of you. It should help you go forward. This is Royan, in 21st. And out pretty much on his own right now. Dunevelt, who pits from 12th and will of course be passed by a number of drivers coming out of the pits then. Former leader Rosetta, Mediri, Ferry, Sorrow. Quite in that order, I think Sorrow might have made it out before Ferry than usual, but at the moment Mikhail, Donkovolka, Jones, Riesenhauer and Danhausen, the ones at the front of the field who have yet to make their pit stop. And lots of support for Royan down there in 21st. Be hoping that he can turn his race around a little bit. I think Storrow has managed to get out in front of Ferry, and they were running in the opposite order. So Ferry with a slow stop, maybe he missed his marks, possibly, or took a tyre change, whereas the rest of the team did not. So that's an interesting note at the front of the field for Glitch. Did Ferry take a tyre change potentially? The Beast Kid is obviously watching the wrong sport right now. But whereas on that count, we've got Lenevsky then. After that early race contact, he's in 17th and just trying to get some good points out of the race tonight. It wasn't great for him. He was running much higher, so he'll be a little bit frustrated in the cockpit. But credit to him for continuing with us and not giving up too easily. He managed a 16th and a 10th, debuting with us last week. 16th in the sprint race, that is. And right now he's got Doinvelt just in front of him. He's getting a good slipstream, but again, not really anticipating the loss of aero performance at the front end. We've seen that a number of times tonight from drivers who seem to be surprised by the fact that the car doesn't turn so well following another car. So it may be a sign of a driver who's spent too much time trialing and not enough time doing racing with similarly performing drivers on track with him. Into the pits, Danhausen, Jones, Riesenhauer, Donkervolken and Mikhail don't go into the pits once again, so they are still in that order at the top of the field. But of course, Alex Rosetta will be able to get closer to his lead once again. So Lenevsky behind Doinvelt, Taylor Mass. Donkerboger and Mikhail looking for a big overcut here to light fuel the car. They've obviously managed to make it work so far. Nice angle there, but we've got a car off. Is that Jones, or is that just Jones coming out of the pits? It is Jones coming out of the pits, and he's obviously lost out there to Lenevsky with that pit stop. But he'll be on freshly cooled tyres at least, if not freshly changed tyres. Jones down into 17th. This car very wide off. That's Lenevsky once again, struggling to get this car under control in the Spa. I think his setup needs a little bit of work today. Glad everybody's enjoying watching and chat and the chat input as well. Even if I can't make a great deal of sense of a lot of it, but you guys have at it and enjoy yourselves as we've got Lenevsky at the tail of this run once again. Doinvelt Mass parks in front with Jones now freshly out of the pits and struggling. Rosetta's still in 4th, but has the net lead of the race thanks to the top 3 yet to pit. Just ahead of Lenevsky, looking like he's getting pretty close to Mass here as we run up through the order, and we join Minushin just behind Verweyen in the Minushin in the Porsche, Verweyen in the BMW. Just asking how is Royan doing. I'm sure we'll try and get you that information as soon as I can give it to you. Currently 21st position, 49 seconds away from 20th Sami Viljanen, and Lataro still in the pits, so hasn't yet returned to us. I think he may have retired, but is just staying in the pits. Looks like Lenevsky has picked the 5-second penalty there. And Danhausen has also picked up a penalty. I can't quite read it from my position at the moment. 10 seconds, I think, for Danhausen. Hopefully we'll get an update for you from the stewards as to what those infractions were for. Maybe they were just regular track limit abuse. So we had contact with Lautaro, so it is a penalty for Danhausen for causing avoidable contact with Lautaro, who is obviously retired from the race. It's not going to help Lautaro's race, but it's certainly going to hurt Danhausen's race and championship to pick up that 10-second penalty. Of course, that will be applied after the race, thanks to the fact that he's already made his pit stop. He may have the right to appeal, I guess, but there was definitely contact between the two of them. Ski now doing battle because Mas has been able to quite stay with Doinvelt's McLaren, at least through the mid-sector here. Because you need a car set up very differently for the 3 sectors of the racetrack. The first and third sectors are all about low downforce, high top speed, low speed corners, good braking performance. And then the mid-sector is just all about downforce and making sure that you can get the car turned in. It's a classic trade-off here at Spa. You're either hanging on for dear life around the mid-sector and fast in the others, or as off goes Mas slightly in the Porsche, just about recovering, but has lost some ground, I think, to Doinvelt. Or the opposite is true. You are being passed like you're standing still in the first and third sectors, but you catch all the speed back going through the second. So usually drivers will prefer to have the top speed for race trim, but it does hurt your tyre wear as well, so it is a real trade-off. Danhausen with 10-second penalty, Lenevsky with a 5, I believe, and then Rosetta now in third position. There's just 2 more cars remaining with 23 minutes to go. Who have yet to pit. Riesenhauer and Mikhail getting fabulous fuel economy out of their Porsche and Ferrari respectively. But they do have to pit, it is mandatory here. So surely that will be soon. Mas just getting back his rhythm. And Lenevsky light on the brakes, really, or a very different line at least, going through Rivage this time. Join Donkerbocker behind with Riesenhauer, who is, I think, has just put the lapper on Donkerbocker, I think, now. So he's just lapped because he hasn't pitted yet. But will resume racing after his pit stop, obviously well ahead. Looks like Donkerbocker has got a decent amount of speed at the moment on having pitted. This is Callum Jones then in car 46, not to be confused with the blue and yellow liveried machines that also have Valentino Rossi's number 46 on the car, but they are not the official car 46. That is Callum Jones here. We have Lenevsky then, still fighting here to try and get as many points as possible. Good finish. Race still effectively led by Rosetta Madiri. Sorrow now in provisional third versus Ferry. As we wait for Riesenhauer and Mikhail to pit. Wayne still the next best of the rest, non-glitch drivers in net 5th position. With Nushin and let the penalised Danhausen currently in 9th on the road. This is Teon Mas then. 14 at the moment. See him need to be defensive behind for Lenevsky, but at least half his attention is on the car in front. That is actually Parks in 12th. We saw a quick flash off ahead of Doinvelt's McLaren. There he is, heading on into Le Con. So they've caught him actually. Instead of slowing each other down, looks like Doinfeldt's caught Parks, who at the moment can't see Christian Mediri in front, but he is there. Just heading into X now, Mediri. A reminder, we have two Mediris in the field. Christian, usually in the midfield, and Loris, usually near the front of the race. Riesenhauer and Mikhail still not pitted with 20 minutes to go in our race here today. This is the... We've got some action going on. This is Rosetta trying to get past Mikhail. Pitted versus non-pitted driver. And Mikhail not making this easy, because this is a battle for position. Mikhail does not have to move aside. There's no blue flags for him. But Rosetta clearly driving with more speed today. Getting frustrated here behind Mikhail because they're not really in the same race. And Rosetta may be of the opinion, you know, this is really his race to run at his speed. That's Loris Mediri not hassling the back of Rosetta, which I guess will be a blessing for Rosetta to only have to deal with difficulties in front. Mikhail running wide out of X. It looks like Riesenhauer resumed. He came out of the pits in 8th position, which worked pretty well for him. Just lost out to Danhausen, but of course that place will be reversed. Really, really good grip on the apexes versus Mikhail's car. Dust out of the back, left rear of Mikhail. Alex Rosetta shapes to the inside. Will Mikhail now blend out of the throttle as they head down the long run? But Mikhail's on the inside line here. Rosetta will be in unfamiliar territory, and yeah, Mikhail doesn't make it easy at all, and resists being passed so far. Now, if he comes into the pits, Alex Rosetta will be absolutely fuming. Let's see. No, he's going to stay out once again. Catching another car up here. And that's Viljanen. For a second it was a yellow and black car, but it's a neon green old turtle livery. Sammy Viljanen. Rosetta once again trying to be patient here to pass Mikhail. Just a lot more controlled and calm at the wheel on board with Alex Rosetta. As the top speed gets to the end of the Kemmel Straight, but still not enough. Obviously not running a super low downforce setup here, Rosetta. Didn't feel he was going to be threatened much from behind. This is back with Lenevsky, Doinfeldt, Maas and Parks. They've caught Parks. Doinfeldt is going for it now. Closely behind. Maybe tempted for a look. Is that a small lift from Parks for a moment there as they approach into our source? Huge apex cut from Doinfeldt. I'm sure he kept merest hint of tyre on the race surface there, but I don't imagine it was particularly quick way through into Eau Rouge. They go over the roller coaster top of Radion. Surely now Doinfeldt is close enough here to get the overspeed. You can see top speed greater than the car in front. Draws alongside the BMW and should be sufficiently alongside to challenge into Les Combes. It's not going to be super easy. And he just gets the tail in front midway through Les Combes chicane into the Malmedy corner, completes the move. So had a problem there, someone off I think. some damage apparently on the car, but difficult to see exactly what happened. And yeah, so Parks missed out, lost out of position, did he? But this is now with Christian Mediri in 11th position, with Duinveld behind him, and then Parks, I believe. The Parks Mars line astern here. Similarly livery, but the Porsche is looking to get past his certainly livery teammate. I don't know if they're actually teammates or not. Then, of course, Lenevsky still pushing, still trying to get in the mix here, despite the fact that he's got a penalty. Mikhail has finally pitted, and we're going to have wrecked order of our race back again. Lenevsky doing his best here to catch Mas. Runs to the outside. Quite there, is it? And then there's a car off in front as well. Was that Duinveld getting it wrong through the bus stop? So Duinveld will be on the offensive instead of going for Diri's edge. Oh dear me, that was Mas, who was forced to the outside under braking as various cars all over the road in front of him. Managed to rescue it. I don't think he hit the wall, but Parks versus Duinveld as they go up the hill, and Parks with the nose ahead, but he got that wrong, very wrong, and Lenevsky might get both of them. No, Lenevsky makes contact. We've got contact across, cars hitting different sides of Radion chicane and the Armco on the outside, and that was both Lenevsky and Parks, who have both had significant contact with the wall. It looks like Parks is parking off, unfortunately, and is stopping. We're going to see that one again, hopefully. That was a very difficult moment there. And I think that's down to Duinveld having a rough run through Eau Rouge and Radion. This was very early braking. I think Duinveld wanted to be the following car here, and he actually gave up the position going into La Source. Now Parks is ahead, so Duinveld wants the slipstream going up the hill. Parks gets unstable, rejoins and clatters. There's a pinball effect as he clatters Duinveld into Lenevsky, and they both hit the barriers. See that in slower replay this time. A rejoin on the racetrack, and 3 into 1. Did not go. Parks with what looked to be terminal damage on the car, and drama then at the closing stages of our race, and not for the first time this season. We need to go back to the race if we can. Hopefully there are penalties coming in for car 35, I believe. And there they are in the pits, obviously repairing some damage. Parks has been given 10 seconds, Lenevsky 5. Despite the fact that he appeared to slow at La Source and play a few games there, perhaps Duinveld escaped unscathed, both from the stewards and from the contact. It seems he's now actually passed Christian Mediri, so it's certainly not any worse for wear. And Duinveld up to 10th position as Mediri outbrakes himself slightly, has to take avoiding action going into La Source, and it's all kicking off with the last few minutes of our race here. And yeah, we've got lots of drivers sort of upset about Teun, and other drivers obviously upset that their favourite has retired, it seems, Teun, from the race. So we're down to 21. We did start with 25. We're doing pretty well for a long form race. Sami Viljanen appearing to be off track momentarily, I believe, on his own. An unforced error perhaps. This is Verweyen trying to hold on to his 5th position, with Minuchin, who has caught up at a fairly alarming rate now. Verweyen in the BMW ahead for the Eiffel team. Black and white split livery. Minuchin racing red and white here in the 99. Just trying to keep the mirrors occupied of Verweyen. Fairly good line through Blanchimont, down the hill into the bus stop. Very, very late on the brakes here from Minuchin. He's going for the very long run around the outside. Surely he can't make the inside line work into the second part of the bus stop. There's a tiny tap there, and I think he's given up hopes of stealing the place there, because I think the stewards wouldn't have appreciated a bump and run. They both get through past one of the slower runners and down into La Source once again. This time though, Verwayen very, very wide through La Source. That's going to hurt him all the way in the run to Eau Rouge and up the hill of Radion. And they'll go side by side now. I think that the car is slightly ahead here for Verwayen, but that only hands... Oh no, the car gets completely unsettled thanks to the aero effect on Minuchin, and that has rescued Verwayen's hopes of hanging on to 5th, at least for this lap. Behind them, looks like it's a long way back for Danhausen, plus 10 seconds, so a long way for Danhausen to try and rescue this race. I can't exactly see the gaps at the moment. Actually, Danhausen to Riesenhauer's gap is currently 9.7 seconds, so he's trying to maintain that 7th place if he can, just get an extra 0.3 of a second. Back with Teun Mas then in 12th position, behind Christian Mediri, who just lost out a place to Doinvelt. Teun Mas back on the offensive, back at top speed then, hoping to try and get 11th at least out of tonight. Under 9 minutes to go in our race this evening. Penultimate race of the championship, remember. We go to the Nürburgring next week. I'm still waiting on confirmation as to whether that's full circuit or the Grand Prix circuit. I'm assuming we're racing the Grand Prix circuit for a 65-minute race. Just got confirmation it is the Grand Prix circuit of the Nürburgring, so slightly easier from a commentary point of view and a driving point of view, much easier. But Teun Mas then, again, aero effect through these faster corners, very significant. If you're not expecting it, you've just got to turn the steering wheel a little bit more, enter the corner at a little bit lower speed than you're used to, and some great momentum through Pouhon that time for Mas. Can he take the inside into Leifania? They'll have to run side by side, they'll give each other space, hopefully. Just wait to see the car appear on the left hand side, but that'll be popular in the chat as Teun Mas takes up to 11th place, through past Christian Mediri, and a very clean move which took skill from both drivers through Leifania. So fantastic, up to 11th place for Teun Mas. Rosetta though still in the lead from Loris Mediri, Nicola Soro and Mattea Ferri. Only one change of position at the front of the field, and that was Soro and Ferri switching around. So they are currently in the race, they're in current championship positions as well, so they're doing their best to make sure that Glitch get the top 4 positions at least in our championship, and of course secure the team champions. So that was popular in the chat, I can see already. Lots of Teun fans here for Teun Mas, so they'll be hoping that he can get up into the top 10 as well, with 7 minutes to go before the end of our race. So this is 16th place Martinelli, trying to go the long way round Mikhail, who led the race for a few laps. Mikhail on the compromised outside line here, but it's the inside line for La Source. He might not mind that too much, being behind Martinelli. Oh no, he's going to go for it. Dive bomb down the inside of La Source. Martinelli has to give room and space. Mikhail gives just about 1.1 car's width at the outside of the corner. And Martinelli then should have the car ahead going into La Source, into Eau Rouge and Radion. Cutting the second part of Radion significantly is Mikhail, in anticipation of losing the front end, I think. So staying in control, but fortunately losing a lot of that track position and gap to the car in front. Remember, Danhausen has a 7th place, a 10-second penalty from 7th. He's now got an 11-second gap behind him, so he's actually quite safe in that 7th position right now. Here is Royen in 18th. He is 2 laps down at the moment. with Viljonen just the 1 lap down. Sorry, yes, I think just 1 lap down. No, scratch that. Royen is 1 complete lap plus a bit. So occasionally it looks like 2 laps that he's behind. Here is Danhausen then, who is 5th in the championship, 6th on the road. As it looks like we've just lost the driver, Verweyen. Where has Verweyen gone? Is he okay? It's still P4. So we must have lost somebody between Minuchin and Danhausen, because Danhausen was in 7th. Clearly lost somebody down the order. I'll find out who that was. But Rosetta still in the lead. Was Loris Mediri? Of course it was. It was one of the glitch drivers. I'm so used to ignoring the top 4 that we've lost Loris Mediri. Is that a straight disconnection perhaps? It looks like he's just disappeared off the racetrack. We'll try and find out information for you before the race is run. Must have been a disconnection, because he's completely disappeared on us. So kind of a type of mechanical issue for Mediri, Loris Mediri. It's not affecting Christian Mediri in 11th, but whatever has happened to Loris Mediri, and that's going to hurt him, because he was only 4 points ahead of Nicolo Soro in the championship, so he could find himself into last place in this glitch, in this 4 glitch driver grouping that they've been battling at the head of the championship. So Verweyen suddenly onto 4th position. He's just coming up behind Sami Viljonen in the characteristic old turtle livery. As Verweyen then through. 3.5 minutes to go. Was that a dive bomb? It was a dive bomb from Minuchin. I think we may have just we suspect a possible distraction. In fact, I mean, clearly it wasn't deliberate, because he's released Verweyen back through. But these things happen towards the end of longer races, when the drivers have been concentrating hard, and then they've got a bit of a joker in the mix there, a slower car to try and navigate. But clearly Minuchin making a huge misjudgment. And actually Danhausen is not far off this group now, I believe. No, actually, scratch that. Looks like that was someone else coming up to put a lap on Viljonen, perhaps behind. But there is Loris Mediri. He's currently in 15th position. So has he managed to rejoin? Is that the situation? Because I'm pretty sure I couldn't see him before. Minuchin in 5th then. And going to try again, I think, to overtake Verweyen. A little bit cleaner than last time. He is hanging on to that 5th place, but clearly felt he's got a decent amount of speed to try and challenge, with just over 2 minutes to go now. Is Alex Rosetta. He is, I think, is that him completing the lap? But so we'll just see how many laps we have left to run. So it looks like 1 more, because he's still coming out of heading towards Blanchimont, so there'll be under 2 minutes to run when he crosses the line. Looks like we'll be starting the final lap shortly with Alex. Meanwhile, the race continues throughout the order. We'll see if Minuchin can get ahead of Verweyen, where will Leon Mast manage to get to. Of course, he's got into 10th position now, thanks to that issue for Loris Mediri. Still in the pits, as is Mikhail. So Minuchin then is a little bit further back here from Verweyen. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move. Unless it's one similar to last time through the corner. So, and starting the last lap then for the bulk of the field. Has, as I say, that 5-second penalty to pay, but he's pitted, so he's not going to finish the race, I don't think. Mikhail, Mediri and Lautaro still in the pits as well, so really we're down to 16 runners, as Minuchin gets a lovely run through La Source, and Verweyen has clearly got his right-hand tyres not really performing for him. Couldn't really turn right through La Source, so Minuchin will have a good run here if he can keep control of the car. Car coming out of the pits. Is that Loris Mediri? I think it is. And that's another distraction for these two. So Verwayen moves across on Minuchin. At least my first judgment of that appeared to be a defensive shape at least, and Minuchin couldn't avoid making the tiniest of contacts, and that has scuppered his chance of making an overtake here. So deep into the last lap for our leader, as Callum Jones is trying a move here on Mediri. This is for 11th position. Zeta not far away from securing what would be his second feature race and third race overall victory so far in the championship. I think that's him coming through Blanchimont now, yep. And just the bus stop left to go. One braking zone for Alex Rosetta, who has never really left anybody in any doubt that he is the master of Spa this evening. Alex Rosetta wins in Spa for the penultimate round of the championship and extends his lead with one race to go. It is further back. We're just checking on Minuchin and Verwayen as they come up behind one of the Glitch Motorsport drivers, but I think it will be Sorrow crossing the line shortly from Ferry, and they will finish in reverse championship order. Sorrow will presumably, no, Sorrow is ahead of Ferry, but I think they will both leapfrog Loris Mediri in the end. Verwayen holds on to fourth and Minuchin in fifth position. I'm pretty sure Danhausen is going to be able to secure that seventh position, because Riesenhauer is too far back as he crosses the line. No change in the order. So Riesenhauer, because they don't finish where they started, the start and finish lines are different in GT racing, of course. Then further down the order, we're just watching to see if Jones can get into the top 10, and it's looking very good as Christian Mediri is wide, tries to close the door here on Jones, and they will go nose to tail for the long run down to the bus stop. Jones with the inside line. Mediri has got no tyres at all. Moves across. Jones with a violent swing across the corner through Blanchimont. Be looking for an opportunity as Mediri holds the inside line. Jones down the outside. He's clearly able to get better braking, and Mediri completely off the circuit will have to slow. He will try and resume the racing, but I think he should lose out that position, even if not at the start-finish line. Mediri does hold on to Jones, but he was fully off the circuit. We'll see if that gets reversed later on, but it looks like that will be a 5-second penalty in all likelihood for Christian Mediri, so Jones should hold on. I think he'll also, Mediri, hold on here, as we've got Martinelli coming through to finish off. He could have finished so much higher. Martinelli in 13th position. I think he'll probably be a little bit disappointed that overall this is your race-winning triplicate from Glitch. One Glitch Motorsport driver, two Academy drivers, with Alex Rosetta ahead of Nicolo Sorro and Matteo Ferri. Disaster stroke for Loris Mediri with a disconnection, and I think he's managed to bring the car home in 16th position overall. But there are your provisional finishing order. That is, it looks like Danhausen finished significantly far ahead of Riesenhauser, and we shall give you the final standings after any steward complaints throughout the course of the race. But don't forget, of course, to tune in next week for the final race in the ERS Sim Racing Academy Season 12, where we go to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. This has been Sim Racing Academy. My name is Webbo. For the commentary tonight, if you like what you've seen, follow at Sim Race Academy and at WebboRed5 on Twitter. But for now, for this week, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next race day.